Hey everybody, welcome back to My Pinball Machine Collection as we take a closer look at another game. And today we are going to dig into the whitewater rafting world of whitewater! Yeah, I love this game. It is one of my favorite games in the collection from a gameplay standpoint, and it's one that I grew up with a little bit, but I ended up getting really addicted to it once it showed up here in the collection. Whitewater was released in 1993. This was at sort of the peak of the pinball explosion. There are said to be around 7,000 units sold. Again, not as impressive as the games that came before, but it's still a decent run. And then, years after that, things would really start to fall down. But the one thing that's interesting about Whitewater is that it is rampy, loopy, and crazy fast. And as a result, it can be a little intimidating when you first go to play it. I know that it whooped my back in the day, and it still tends to whoop my now. So I'm sure you can imagine by the name Whitewater, it's pretty much whitewater rafting. You got a bunch of rafts here on the playfield. 2, 4, 8, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, leading all the way up to wet wheelies.
Welcome to Wet Willie.
In order to complete these rafts, you basically have to shoot the different hazards, and that's any of the ones that are in orange here. And what your goal is to go all the way to the top, and eventually you'll sort of attack the Wet Willie River Ranch. Man, that's tough to say. Wet Willie River Ranch, Wet Willie Whip. This guy here with the beard, he's got a ranch, and you'll attack it, and then eventually you'll complete the different rafts. And that's one of the things that you need to do. There's a map on the dot matrix that sort of shows you the progression and what you still need to get in order to get the vacation jackpot. And the vacation jackpot is really sort of the wizard mode of the game. It's what everybody strives to get to, and it's the part of the game that I love because, quite frankly, it's not going to happen that often, and it definitely doesn't happen every game. And so there's always that little extra that Whitewater has. That's why I like it. And again, it's that challenge of the speed. You also have the locks up here. If you hit both of these green targets, you light the lock. Locking 3 balls gets multi-ball, and the multi-ball actually starts up here on this mini playfield and awards you points if you shoot the whitewater jackpot. You have to shoot it just right. It has to come down, you hit it off the end of the flipper, and it goes up here, and you have to juggle all 3 balls at once. Again, it's tough, man. It's hard, but it's very rewarding if you can do it. The other big thing is the Whirlpool Awards. If you look here, Whirlpool is lit. When this is lit, you shoot it up into the Whirlpool, and then here on the playfield, you have all these Whirlpool Awards. And again, completing all the Whirlpool Awards gets you another notch toward the vacation jackpot. And there's a lot of great awards in here. You also have Bigfoot Bluff and the Bigfoot Jackpot, and here is Bigfoot sitting right here. He's actually a diverter that will divert your ball into the whirlpool, and he sort of looks at you and gives you a look. This game was designed by Dennis Nordman, and he's a designer that I really like. I have his Elvira Scared Stiff, and I enjoy his games. And what's interesting is he has said in some interviews that Bigfoot is supposed to be modeled after himself, so not sure if that's flattering or not, but that's what he says. And if you can actually shoot the Bigfoot targets here, Hotfoot, you'll actually start a crazy Bigfoot award bonus thing where you actually bypass Bigfoot and go through Bigfoot's cave, eventually collecting a bunch of stuff hidden in the cave. Again, another little thing to shoot for. That's kind of a fun little side thing. The only thing that's dangerous in this game that, quite frankly, I don't like is when your ball goes into the whirlpool here, it shoots out of this mine cave. And when it shoots out, it comes out pretty irregular. Sometimes it bounces off the flipper, sometimes it goes up this lane, sometimes it bounces up and down the out lane. To be honest, it doesn't matter how you adjust the damn thing, it's gonna shoot out however the hell it wants. But you can also get a gold rush, which is another fun little multi-ball. So yeah, it depends how you look at it, but anyway. Also right here, see this R-I-V-E-R? These lights here advance your river class. You need to be a class 6 river. If you can get to class 6 river, that also completes another notch on the map. And so there's a lot of strategy that goes into completing this game, and a lot of strategy that you really have to develop in order to do things in the correct order so you don't screw yourself over later. One thing I have to point out about whitewater that is just awesome is the topper. It is probably my favorite pinball topper of all the toppers that have ever been created. And if you take a look, it's just basically a piece of artwork with a little bit of foil paper, and these lights scroll along the bottom of it, and what it does is it creates the look of a waterfall. Mine actually has a little bit of crinkling in the actual water part of it. It almost looks like some rocks protruding through the waterfall. Maybe that's just my way of justifying it so I don't, have to be anal and buy a new one. But I think it looks really cool, and I love the topper on this game. And again, to me, it just adds to the overall look. And there's a lot of other little things, but that's pretty much whitewater in a nutshell. And the thing is, the game is so loopy and rampy and crazy that the ball tends to just go thunk, thunk, thunk down the middle all the time. And you're just sitting there like, wait, what? Huh? And that's what I love about it. I first saw whitewater at an arcade in a billiards place near my house. Now, if you've been listening to some of my boring commentary on these darn things, you know that there was a billiards place I used to play Whirlwind, but I didn't go in there very much because I was a lot younger and it was a little bit of a seedy place. Here's a little bit of video footage. This is showing Whirlwind in that same corner. Well, eventually where Whirlwind is here would be whitewater. I don't have any footage of that, but again, you get the idea of where I used to play it. And I went there and I played it all the time, and I wasn't very good at it. I sucked at whitewater. I could beat the hell out of Whirlwind. I could destroy Diner. Whitewater, I couldn't do anything on, and as far as the extra layers are concerned, hell, I didn't know anything about that at the time. I played it until it left, and then, to be honest, I never really saw it again. It wasn't until 2002 at the York Pinball Show, which was the first show I went to, that I found whitewater there, and I played it almost the entire show. I could not get over how addictive this game was. This particular whitewater is actually in great shape, and it's the only game that I've ever purchased from a convention. I immediately tore the whole game apart and shopped it and cleaned it out. If you talk to anybody into pinball, they will tell you that whitewater is one of their least favorite games to tear apart and clean up because of the fact that there are ramps and loops and mini playfields everywhere. But you know what? Once you clean it up, boy, this thing just shines. I put these mantis protectors right in front of the locks here, so that way it would protect it because these ramps tend to crack. In fact, these ramps are cracked behind here, but now you don't even notice. There's a lot of areas in whitewater that get pretty bashed. Right here, these Boulder Garden plastics, these are normally trashed because of the way the ball bounces around and beats them up. I have one little crack here at the top, you can see here, and one little crack by the screw, but overall, they still look good, and so I haven't invested in getting any new ones of those because they look fine. A lot of times, these lock targets are smashed to hell, and they're not even the right ones there. These are the correct lock targets, the green ones. Even though it had a little bit of cabinet fade here on the left, it was so nice, and it was so hard to find a whitewater in nice shape at the time that I sprung for it. That's my story about whitewater, a game that I love to play, and a game that, again, is going to stay as long as it possibly can. I have a lot of memories here, and it's a really fun game, so I suggest if you find it, you get out the rafts and you give it a shot. I'll see you later.